Why was the obtuse angle so mad? Because he was never right. All right, everybody, welcome to video lesson 6-5 as we continue our investigation into quadrilaterals. Okay, these are the properties of a rhombus. Okay, make sure you're getting these into your notes in your note packet. First property of the rhombus is that the rhombus has all 5 properties of a parallelogram, which you know from our previous lessons. Okay, and that's because rhombus is one of the twin daughters of parallelogram. Number 2, and this is the definition of a rhombus, all sides are going to be congruent. So let me get my marker. And we're going to mark all these sides are going to be congruent to each other. That's the definition of a rhombus. It's a parallelogram with 4 equal sides. Number 3, the diagonals are perpendicular bisectors of each other. So in other words, this diagonal, let me go back to my pointer, this diagonal right here bisects perpendicularly this diagonal. So these 2 diagonals are the perpendicular bisectors of each other, which means now that this is a right angle, and this is congruent to that, and this is congruent to that. Number 4, the diagonals bisect the angles, which means now that this diagonal right here is going to bisect this angle, so this is congruent. And also means now these 2 angles are also congruent because the opposite angles of a parallelogram are congruent. So all 4 of those little angles are equal, and this angle is congruent to this angle, which also means now that this angle and this angle right down here are also congruent. The diagonals, number 5, the diagonals divide the shape into 4 congruent right triangles. So in other words, this triangle right here, let me get my pointer again, this triangle right here is congruent to this triangle right here, and they're all congruent. You can see now either by side, 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 or we can do side, angle, side, we can do HL. All 4 of these right triangles are going to be congruent. And lastly, number 6, all the properties of a kite are full properties of a rhombus, and we'll talk more about that when we get to kites in our next lesson in 6-6. Okay, here are the properties of our next special quadrilateral, the square. Remember, square is the offspring of both rectangle and rhombus. Remember when rhombus ran away for a while? She came back later and kind of met rectangle. But anyway, so we got square. Square is their offspring. So a square has all the properties, all 5 properties of a parallelogram, because it's the grandson of parallelogram. Has all the properties of its father, rectangle, has all the properties of its mother, rhombus. So we have a square is very, very special. So all these things apply to all these shapes. And the diagonals here are going to form 4 congruent isosceles right triangles, which means now if I kind of mark up the square, let me get my marker, we can just say that all the sides are going to be congruent because it's a rhombus. All the angles are right angles because it's a rectangle. The diagonals are going to be perpendicular, so these are all right angles. And they bisect each other. And the diagonals are congruent to each other because it's a rectangle, so it has all those properties. All right, let's do some problems here. Find the value of x that make the quadrilateral a rhombus. Well, we know now that this is marked as a parallelogram. It's a parallelogram because opposite sides are congruent. Okay, but now to make it a rhombus, we now know that this side right here is going to be also congruent to this side right here because all the sides of a rhombus are congruent, which means now 14 minus x is equal to 2x plus 5. I'm going to solve this for x by adding x to both sides. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to subtract the 5 from both sides. So these x's right here, switch colors, these x's right here are going to cancel. These 5's are going to cancel. It looks like I have 3x on the right side. 2x plus 1x is 3x. 14 minus 5 is 9 on the left side. Divide by tree. Divide by tree. It looks like x is equal to 3. Alrighty, daddy, our next problem here, find the value of x that will make the quadrilateral a square. Well, this is marked. This angle is congruent to this angle, and this angle is congruent to this angle, so this must be a parallelogram. Not only is it a parallelogram, this is a right angle, so it must also be a rectangle. Now, to make this a square, we know that this angle right here is also going to be a right angle, because it would also be a rhombus, which means that our diagonals are going to be perpendicular. So I'll just mark this as a right angle, which means that angle 1 must equal 90 degrees. So now I know that 13x plus 5.5 is equal to 90. I'm going to solve this for x. I'm going to minus the 5.5. It looks like I got 13x is equal to 84.5, and you're probably saying, "Ah, Mr. Corby, this is going to come out Crudsville." Well, whip out your calcs. We're going to divide both sides by 13, and when you divide by 13 on your calculator, you're going to see that x is equal to 6.5, which isn't too bad. Bump. Alrighty, our next problem here is a two-parter. If the diagonals of a rhombus, so this shape right here, FGHJ is a rhombus, and the diagonals intersect at K. Okay, because it's a rhombus, we know that these are going to be right angles, and the diagonals are bisected. We also know that all the sides are going to be equal. So use the given information to find the measure, find each measure or value. So if measure of angle FJH is 82, so angle FJH is going to be this angle right here. That's 82. Okay, find the measure of angle KHJ. So measure of angle KHJ is going to be, let me switch colors, is going to be KHJ is going to be this angle right here. Okay, well, probably the easiest thing to do is to look at these triangle right here, this big triangle right here in red. We know that the three angles are going to add up to 180. Well, I know that this angle, x, that's what we're looking for, is going to equal this angle, x. So I now know that x plus 82 is equal to 180, which means now x plus x is 2x. I'm going to subtract the 82 from both sides. 2x is equal to 180 minus 82, which is 98, which means x is 49. For our second problem right now, it looks like GH is x plus 9. So let me erase for a moment just so we can see. Erase, 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 erase. So we're going to do, get back to my marker. We know that GH is x plus 9, so that's this piece right here, that's x plus 9. And we know that the second piece, JH, is 5x minus 2. We know that those two sides are going to be equal because this is a rhombus, so we now have x plus 9 is equal to 5x minus 2. Go ahead, stop the tape, and solve that for x. Okay, you should have found that x is 11/4, or if you prefer, 2 3/4, or 2.75. I set these two things equal. X plus 9 is equal to 5x minus 2. I minused x from both sides, so I got 9 is equal to 4x minus 2. I added the 2 to both sides. I get 4x is equal to 11. 4x is equal to 11. And then I divided both sides by 4, and that's how I got x is equal to 11/4, or 2 3/4. Okay, our last problem, here we go. Numero 5, that's number 5 in Spanish. ABCD is a rhombus. If AM plus DM is equal to 17, so AM plus DM is equal to 17, what is AC plus BD? So what we're going to do, we know that this is a rhombus. The fact that this is a rhombus, which means It's not only it's a rhombus, it's a parallelogram, which means now our diagonals are going to bisect each other. So I'm going to get out my marker, and I'm going to say that this piece, AM, is congruent to CM, and likewise, this piece right here, MB, is equal to MD. So now, if, get my pointer, if AM plus DM is 17, AC is twice as long as AM, and BD is twice as long as MD. So therefore, if AM plus MD is 17, AC plus BD is going to be twice as long, so that's going to equal 34. That's AC plus BD. And now, for a bonus point, first 5 people to send me an email with the correct answer to the question part 2 here of our problem. If AC is congruent to BD, then what do we know about the rhombus? Be specific in your answer. First 5 people to email me with the correct answer will get a bonus point. Hey folks, that's it. Short and sweet. We'll see you guys as soon as I see you again. Adios, and you guys have a great day. Bye.